anything right now? No? Okay. We have one other testifier, Mr. Mike O'Connor, a member of the task force. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you. I know that I occupy the singular luxury of standing between a whole room full of people and lunch, so I will try to be brief. I appreciate the opportunity to
Your comments are valuable to
testify.
us, though. Welcome to the committee.
I'm an Irish guy, and so I have plenty of words that I could tell you. I'm cognizant of the time, so what I will do is sort of speak in shorthand and tell you parts of the report that I hope you will read carefully. And I'll just point them out to you today. Just by way of background, I was the urban consumer representative on the task force. I don't do this for a living. I'm a retired guy. Every day is a Saturday for me. And one of the advantages that presents is that if anybody would like to talk to me either after the hearing or at any time online, I have more time available than many people on the task force, and would be happy to go into more detail. Several sound bites. One sound bite that you've heard a lot today, and I want to just amplify it in a different way. That which gets measured gets done. Mapping's very important. We have another mapping project underway. There's reference to it in the report. We've got a long way to go on maps. I'm hopeful that the next round will be better, and I'll leave it at that. Another key soundbite. There are 8 reports that are kind of like this report, that precede this report. They're sitting on shelves all over the state. This is a Jim Dandy report. I had a lot to do with it, and I'm very proud to be a part of this. But follow-through is the key. If there's no follow-through, then this will become report number 9, and I built a nice little mashup tune on the Internet that's based on Revolution number 9 by the Beatles that I'll play for you all. It's just the words number 9 over and over again, and this could become that if we don't do some sort of follow-through. You've heard about the council. I want to chime in right behind that. It goes with that which gets measured gets done. It goes with that which gets followed up gets done. We need some sort of ongoing council. There are 2 more councils that are buried in this report, and I want to amplify something else. There's a whole great big boatload of stuff about security, reliability, and redundancy in this report. There's a lot of detailed recommendations, but we weren't quite the right folks to really do this. When you contemplate a subsequent council, recognize that those probably won't either. You really need another council, another group that's real smart about this to take a hard look at that. There's some tasty issues buried in the report, starting on page 82 for those of you on the staff. We go into an awful lot of detail on that. That needs a different group of people to look at. Third group of people, the money part is really interesting. We've talked about that. This is not the best time, this is not the best economy to start talking about lots of money. And so one of the things that I'd point you to is that on page 80, there's a long list of other sources of money besides state government that we should weave together to put this together. And that needs a third group of people. It's not just financial experts. It's creative thinkers that can talk across that huge array. So, page 80, take a look at that. I want to brag a little bit about this report because the telecom conversation is typified by consumer advocate types like me throwing pebbles at provider lobbyists. And at the beginning of this task force, we threw all our pebbles at each other. And it was great. We've all done that for years. We enjoyed it a lot. One of the things that this task force did that I've never seen before is we got some very disparate points of view to meet in the middle. So this report is not the perfect report for any of us. but it's a profoundly good report if you want to find a way that you can get consensus across all these different stakeholder groups. And I just want to brag about all of us for doing that. The fact that we all signed the back of this report, I don't know how many of these reports get signed, but that was a really big deal. It was a really emotional moment at the end of this. And I think that, you know, if my friends on that task force from the provider community and I had said that we would get to this place at the end, we'd all said, Mikey, you're just smoking that stuff you smoke all the time. There's no way we could have done it. And so it's quite profound, the language that's in this report that has consensus from the points of view. Okay, I'm pushing here. Check out page 56. Representative Yunke brought it up. Representative Saylor brought it up. The notion of ubiquity. Now, the words in that section, a whole list of really detailed recommendations, but they are preceded, they kick off, I have to turn to the page so I can read it, because it's really, the one that I want you to highlight is, as with roads, electricity, and telephony, broadband has become an economic and social necessity for all citizens of the state, no matter where they are located. Then I want you to look at the next page, page 57, and I want to amplify another part of this report. See that little circle drawing on there? It's a little model. That's broadband in 12 words. And those 12 words are then delineated in subsequent pages. But the big deal is that this is something that lots of people have to do together. This isn't something the state does by itself. It's not something that the carriers do by themselves. It's not something that business people like me do. This is about collaboration. And to the extent that we can extend the collaboration that evolved on this committee, we can do something that's probably ahead of the national conversation. And so I'd really like you to look at page 56 and the next few pages. That was a really good part of our report. But I want to give you one final example of sort of how this report leads the national conversation. Because we were throwing pebbles at each other, but as you all know, on the national stage, they're throwing bricks at each other. And they've been throwing those bricks at each other for so long that they don't, it's just habit. So one of the bricks on the national conversation is the question of symmetry, symmetrical access upstream and downstream. Big rhubarb about that. It's been going on for years, and, I threw that one into the conversation, and we got going, and because we were moving into this collaborative thing, we got beyond that. And what we say in the report on page 55, it's a little tiny paragraph, and it just says it's not really about symmetry. What it's about is having enough upstream bandwidth to get what you need done. And then if it turns out the downstream bandwidth is 10 times that, well, great. But the problem for the providers is if you say it must be symmetrical, that hoses up their architecture. It screws up a lot of things for them, probably almost unnecessarily. So I apologize, Mr. Chair, for taking so long. There's a lot of very carefully thought through language in this report. It's not flashy, but we all signed it, and I'm in this deal until somebody else walks out. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Connor, and thank you for pointing out the pages we should pay attention to. Appreciate it.